Hi, and welcome to Journey Forward with Jory Rose, where you will gain insights, tools, and inspiration to get unstuck and live your best life. Jory is a licensed marriage and family therapist with a passion for helping people cultivate awareness and authenticity so they can show up fully in all aspects of their life. And now, here's Jory.
Hey everyone, this is Jory Rose, and welcome back to this week's episode of Journey Forward with Jory Rose. I'm so happy that you tuned in today. And as I've been talking about, between October through the end of December 2020, I am doing each episode of the podcast to be a little mini masterclass in a mindfulness practice. You know, there are so many different ways to cultivate and maintain and integrate a mindfulness practice into your daily life, into your routine, in a way that you can create long-term, lasting, positive change. Because I don't know about you, but to me, Journey Forward is to get unstuck from the things that haven't been working in my life and cultivate the new tools, the habits, the patterns to get you on the path to living the life you want to be living. If I can do it, you can do it. And this week, in honor of it being Thanksgiving, I wanted to dedicate this week's episode talking all about gratitude. And this is something I'm going to be talking a lot more about, not only in upcoming months, but hopefully if you follow me on social media, on Instagram or Facebook, because I'm really, really excited. I've got a new book coming out, hopefully beginning of the year. I'll keep you guys updated, but it's going to be an entire year's worth of different ways to practice gratitude. And my gosh, what an amazing project for me to be working on during 2020. When there's been so many challenges, what feels like setbacks, life on pause, just constant need for resilience and readapting to what's in front of us. And I know for me, gratitude has become a grounding practice that I can always fall back on, that I can always integrate into my day, my routine, especially if my mood has dipped, especially if I'm feeling sad or disconnected or lonely or angry. Gratitude is a beautiful antidote. And I wanted to do this episode this particular week in honor of Thanksgiving, because we tend to only focus on Thanksgiving and gratitude at the most this time of the year. And I would love for you to find a way to not just focus on Thanksgiving, but what I like to call Thanks-living. How can you live with greater thanks, gratitude, and appreciation all year long? Not just when the calendar says, hey, it's time to focus on what you're really grateful for. Because gratitude is like a lens through which you see the world. And you can actually really control that lens. And if you've heard me on the episodes in the past talk about, our neuroscience and that way our brains are designed, is our brains have been designed to focus on the negative. It's called a negativity bias. It served a purpose at one point in our evolution when focusing on what was wrong was designed to help keep us safe, keep us alert, keep us aware of potential threats and problems so we could ensure our survival. However, with being on constant alert for what's wrong, we miss all of the things that's going right, all of the things that are going well. We tend to just bypass and don't dwell in the good. But here's what the research says. The research says the more you look for the good and the more that you dwell in the good, the more good you're going to find. So gratitude begets more gratitude. Goodness begets more goodness. It's literally like shifting the lens through which you see the world from one of appreciation, one of awe, one of thankfulness, one of being inspired, one of slowing down and being in recognition and affirmation of the joys and the positives that are in your life. Because let me tell you, if you focus on the bad's going to be what you see. So it's a practice to get out of that habitual evolutionary habit of focusing on the negative and dwelling and looking for the good. So there is so much research around this that I want to be able to give you guys some bigger context and then help you understand how to integrate it and in ways that you can embody thanks living. So you can live with greater appreciation, greater affirmation, greater recognition of the good that is around you and inside of you, because it's an internal job as well. But really, what's awesome about gratitude is it's like it just turns up the volume on positive emotions such as happiness and joy and contentment, while simultaneously turning down the volume on the negative emotions or the difficult emotions. I don't like to call them negative, so it's kind of going to say that in qualifying terms. But the emotions that are difficult, such as anxiety, depression, sadness. Gratitude also will boost your immune system. And this is something that if you're really working hard to stay healthy, especially during a time of COVID, we need all the extra immune boosters we can get. And gratitude has been known to actually make us healthier. Gratitude will also improve your self-esteem and help you get better sleep. In fact, I'll talk about different ways to integrate gratitude into your day. Some people really prefer it as a daily practice in the morning, but I actually really love doing a daily gratitude practice at night. And this has to do with that ability to give you better sleep, because it's going to help shift your mind's attention as you're getting into a restful state. And it's going to help you dwell in the positives and successes of your day, which is actually going to make you sleep better versus worrying or dwelling in what was wrong or what didn't go the way that you hoped. Gratitude has also been shown to increase your social bonds, because when we are grateful for the people around us, we feel more connected, we feel more loving, we're focusing on the gifts that our friends and families offer into our life, which is in turn going to help inspire our actions towards others. So it's kind of this dual way street, one in which you are more appreciative of others and it's able to help you receive that appreciation in return, but the appreciation of others helps inspire your own actions. So you'll end up having greater relationships and a more positive feeling of interconnectivity, which especially right now, especially during COVID, in which we have been a little bit more isolated, what a great way to strengthen those bonds. Gratitude will also help improve your focus, improve your attention, especially if you are working at school. Again, anytime that you are dwelling in what's wrong, it's going to have that emotional brain take over. We might get that sympathetic nervous system activated, fight, flight, freeze is going to kick in. We're going to start looking for more potential threats, which is going to shut down our executive functioning and shut down that ability to focus, pay attention, tap into our logic, reason, rationality, decision making, clear thinking. So, there's a lot of what the research says is positive for gratitude. And the more we can focus on it, the easier it is to find. And it just becomes a practice. It becomes something that we want to create a habit around, because the more we can do this, our brain is actually going to produce the natural good feeling chemicals. We're going to get a dopamine dump. We're going to get a boost in serotonin. We're going to get a boost in oxytocin. These are the chemicals that our brains need to help us feel good, to feel connected, to feel joy, to feel the love, which is going to make it easier to tap into all of those positive emotions. And like I said, it's also, as we counteract some of the negative or more difficult emotions such as depression and anxiety, gratitude can also help neutralize it, and it can help mitigate envy or worry or hostility or irritation. I want to give you a quick example about this. This was years ago. I was teaching I was teaching a mindfulness class, and we had our gratitude week. And I was guiding a gratitude meditation in which I had everyone in the class, focus and dwell on what was good in their life. And we focused on if there was a particular person or an experience to really dwell in the good and soak it in and breathe it in and let it fill us up. At the end of the meditation, there was a gentleman who, I don't know, maybe was in his 60s or so. And he said, with almost tears in his eyes, he said, I got into a really big argument with my wife this morning. He said, but I'm so happy I have her to argue with. I thought, wow, that is just what a beautiful way of recognizing how focusing on the gratitude, it's not going to take away what you're angry about, but it is going to help you shift out of focusing on the anger. right? So when I say turn down the volume, that's exactly what I mean. And it's going to help him dwell in that experience. It helped this man dwell in what he was grateful for, which was going to help him be less reactive when he got home. I thought that was just the most beautiful expression of gratitude, as it being an antidote to anger. So in addition, one of the things that gratitude serves for us is it gives us a greater sense of awe, because we begin to look around for the things that inspire us, for the things that maybe we've stopped noticing. I mean, like, have you ever gone on a walk on a fall day with a young child, and everywhere they turn, or maybe a warm summer day, any time where there are bright colors, and or a pile of leaves, or even a puddle, it's amazing how children are so tuned into what's around them with awe, and they see things with such beauty and wonder. It's like, wow, look at the color of that flower. Wow, look at these leaves. Feel the texture of the grass underneath them. Like, we lose that as adults. And so having gratitude is a way of tuning back into that sense of awe, seeing the world with wonder, which again, when you're looking for that, can help mitigate any other challenges that are arising, because you can kind of hold space for what's going wrong while letting this awe and wonder fill you up, hopefully turning down the volume on the challenges. Studies also show that gratitude boosts our self-esteem and our confidence, makes us more adaptable, more resilient. It encourages moral behavior. I mean, just so many beautiful reasons that we should practice. And if you've heard me on the podcast before, you'll often hear me say, mindfulness is not something you add to your to-do list. It's something you put on your to-be list. Who do you want to be in the world? And I'm going to say gratitude is the same thing. It's, how do you want to show up in your life? Do you want to show up with a sense of awe, of appreciation, of being present, of being grateful, but not only just experience that, but communicating it? Because that's part of the gratitude practice, is to therefore communicate these things out loud to yourself, like in a journaling practice, or even to others. So, I want to share with you some of my important things to consider when looking into really delving deeper into gratitude. And one of the things, when I was doing research for the book, and one of the things that I really wanted to consider is, what are your roadblocks to focusing on gratitude? And I know it might sound like a silly thing. Someone might say, like, why would I have a roadblock to gratitude? But perhaps you do. And, maybe you weren't raised in a way to focus on the good. Maybe you were socialized that focusing on the good made you feel boastful, or like you were overindulgent, or focusing on yourself too much, or that you were just looking through the world with rose-colored lenses, and you were told that that wasn't real life. And I think, there are some either societal or family of origin roadblocks that can prevent us from really tapping into it. Perhaps also, one of my favorite questions I ask clients is, how is it serving you to stay stuck? And people will often say, oh, it's not serving me at all. But sometimes holding on to what's wrong can give us an identity. It can give us a purpose of something to dwell on, to get angry about, to muster, or to fester over. Sometimes we're resistant to being in a better mood. Maybe it's fear. If I'm in a better mood, I've got to forget all my problems. And if I forget all of them, then maybe I haven't dealt with them. Or maybe I'm in denial or resistance. So I just am posing the question. I don't have any one particular answer, I'm assuming. But I do know there's oftentimes roadblocks preventing us from cultivating the tools that could most serve us. So I invite you just to pause and think for a moment, and just get curious and compassionate to yourself of whether or not you have any potential roadblocks that could get you in the way of being more grateful. One of the ones that I hear most often when I'm working with people is, why should I be grateful? Because it's not going to change the outcome of my situation. And this is a really important one to consider because, if you're struggling financially, if you're struggling in relationships, if you're struggling with your health, yeah, on a tangible level, on a physical, in the moment, pure shift of outcome, is it going to change your situation? No, it might not change the actual situation, but the gratitude will help you shift how you manage that difficult situation. And that to me is the key, right? And it's, again, what I say all the time in regards to mindfulness. It's not about changing the outcome, it's changing how you relate to the outcome. And it's in that meta awareness, it's in that ability to shift your response from reacting to responding, that can shift our entire way in how we're managing and how we're coping and how well we're relating to ourselves and other. Are we stuck in compassion versus judgment? How well are we being resilient? Are we able to problem solve? So it really does all go together. And in the research around gratitude, one of the other things I like to point out is Robert Emmons, who's one of the most preeminent researchers in the study of gratitude. He talks about that there's two components. One is affirmation and the other is recognition. So what does this mean? Affirmation is simply acknowledging the good, and recognition is giving credit to where it's due. So what that might look like in practice, if let's say you're really grateful for someone in your life, you can have gratitude for, oh, I'm so grateful for my best friend. She's always there for me. She's supportive. She is there to listen. She's there to give advice, and she's never judging me. And I'm so grateful for that. And that's the affirmation, right? That's the acknowledging the good. The recognition would be to share that appreciation with her and actually voice it out loud and tell her, oh my gosh, I am so grateful for all that you do for me as a friend. Thank you so much. So I love that ability to say that there are these two different parts of gratitude. All right, so I want to share with you some of my favorite ways for practicing gratitude. And believe me, I came up with 365 different ways for the upcoming book. So I'm only going to mention a few here, some of which are pretty typical, some of which I might go into from different reasons. But one of the more typical things you might hear if people are starting a gratitude practice is at the beginning or the end of the day, writing down 3 to 5 things you're grateful for in the moment. It could be something really small. It could be something very specific. It could be something really broad. One of the roadblocks I will come up against when I'm working with clients is if you're really depressed, it can be really hard to find, I don't even have anything to be grateful for. Nothing is going right. So let me remind you, as a foundation of gratitude, as long as you're breathing, there is more right with you than wrong with you. So at the very, very, very least, be grateful for your breath. Each moment is another reminder to be grateful for your breath. So if you notice that that's one of your roadblocks, we can be grateful for the sun coming out after a cloudy day. We can be grateful for the fact that we have heating or air conditioning, depending on the weather. We can be grateful for clean water. I know back earlier in the fall, kind of late summer, I live in California, and we get, unfortunately, our seasonal wildfires. And believe you me, during those days, I have never been more grateful for clean air. When the air quality became the worst in the world in the town that I lived in on a Sunday late in August, you better believe every single day there's fresh air. It is now something I am grateful for daily, because in its absence, you recognize its value. So, 3 to 5 things each day, something you're grateful for. Research does show that if you want to deepen your gratitude practice, one of the ways to do it is, instead of doing 3 to 5 different things you're grateful for, choose one thing you're grateful for and write down 5 reasons why. So it's kind of going into depth versus breadth. So instead of going more broad in your gratitude, going deeper into your gratitude. 5 reasons why I'm so grateful for fresh air. 5 reasons why I'm so grateful for this person in my life. 5 reasons why I was so grateful for this one opportunity. It feels really good to focus on. One of the other things that I like to guide my clients around is a little bit different than just focusing on gratitude, but focusing on your successes throughout the day. And by successes, I mean the moments in which you made a conscious choice to do something differently in a way that worked out for you. Maybe it was, I noticed I was getting triggered, I didn't react. That was a success. Maybe it was staying in alignment with your intentions of eating healthy or exercising. And the moment you decided to get up and put your shoes on to go out for a walk or a run or get on the Peloton, that was a success. I like focusing on successes because it feels really proactive that during the day you can look for opportunities to create successes that you can write about or reflect on later on. So think about that. Focus on successes. Kind of shifting the intention a little bit and focusing on the gratitude, but looking for ways in which they call a downward social comparison. And this may not sound like a really grateful thing, but maybe looking at someone who's a little bit worse off in some way and help you be more grateful for where you are. You know, kind of that old adage of someone else always has it worse. And we're not dwelling in, I'm better than that person, but it's helping you tune into the things that you do have, the opportunities you have, what allow you to not be worse off. You know, they even say in the research on gratitude, even after a natural disaster, and, you know, maybe look at how it could have gone worse for you and it didn't. Right. So we're not always focusing on how great things are. We're focusing on it didn't go as bad as it could have gone. Let that be a point for your gratitude to focus on. I love focusing on gratitude to reflect on how have I grown over a certain period of time, whether it was from a specific challenge I experienced, whether it was from a particular situation, whether it may be in my relationship with my partner or as a mother. So being grateful for the areas in which I've grown that I've consciously worked on. Or maybe it's even a matter of reflecting on the lessons you've learned through some hard experiences. You know, being grateful for what you now know based on having overcome a hardship. The reason that's helpful is because gratitude helps make our life more meaningful. It really, you know, inspires us to tune into what's most important and to bring that awareness consciously into our day-to-day lives, to bring that awareness consciously into our habits, our patterns. And, you know, I once came across this list of 100 things to be grateful for. And I love it because it's a reminder. It can be the littlest things and we overlook them. You know, just the smell of your warm cup of coffee or warm cup of tea in the morning, being grateful for a good hair day. Right now in COVID, being grateful for your health. Like I know I've never been more grateful for my health than in the midst of a worldwide pandemic. Being grateful when someone holds the door open for you, being grateful for cutting open an avocado to it being perfect and ripe, like, such pure joy. Grateful for the little things like a perfect pump at the gas station. Like, why does that make me so happy? But it does. Or, you know, seeing your food arrive and just feeling that moment of hunger and the pleasure of taking your very first bite of food. Grateful for the success it feels to go on a great hike and feel pride in your body for the strength that you got to get to the top. Grateful for the view once you've seen it. You know, so I say all these things because there's so much to be grateful for. The list is endless. And I just invite you, not just around the Thanksgiving dinner table, but for a daily practice so you can truly be in a practice of Thanksgiving, not just Thanksgiving. And yes, we want to give that gratitude and thankfulness to others, but also to not be afraid to give it to yourself, to not be afraid to tune into that compassion for what you need of, you know, reminding yourself the strengths you've overcome, how hard that you've worked. We are now at a time more than ever where we need to focus and dwell on the good every which way we can get it. And when we can do that, we can also inspire those around us. So I invite you this week of Thanksgiving, what can you do? Make it a daily habit. something different every single day. Maybe it's writing a letter for your postman and putting in the mailbox saying thank you for all the work that you do. Being a little extra grateful of how you pay your bills, being thankful you've got money in your bank to pay the bills, right? The list really is endless. So I hope that this inspired you to focus on gratitude, not just this week around the dinner table, and whatever that looks like for you this year of 2020. I know things look really different. So being really kind to yourself in how you readjust and become resilient around changes as necessary for COVID. And to really tune in to the little things, because if COVID has taught us anything, if 2020 has taught us anything, it's really to be grateful for the little things and the big things. But in absence of our normalcy, in absence of really having the predictability of what's next, let's be grateful for right now, for this breath, for this moment, for what we have, for who we have, for our breath, our health, our family, our friends, the blue skies, the clean water. And from me to you, I am grateful for you to listen in today. I hope this episode inspired you for more thanks living throughout your day, and I wish you to be well.
To continue your journey forward, find Jory Rose on Facebook and Instagram to become part of her growing community. You can also gain access to her meditations, books, online classes, or to sign up for an upcoming retreat, visit her at joryrose.com. That's JOREEROSE.com.